but there's a lot of currency in being a Stephen A. Smith.
You just ain't ready, and that's how it looked tonight. Cowboy Cerrone just didn't look ready.
This sport demands a different perspective. It's not the same thing as a ball going into a hoop.
But here's my reality. We haven't learned a damn thing about Conor McGregor based off of this fight.
And we didn't learn anything about Conor. I'm like, you didn't?
Yeah.
He just destroyed Cowboy in 40 seconds. Yeah, you learned something. You just don't know what you saw.
But anytime you want to talk to me about this fight, or you want to talk to me about my credentials to discuss something in the world of sports, name the time and place, Joe Rogan, I'll show up. It's not a problem.
He talks a lot. He gets real loud, and everybody disagrees with him. And look, it's made him a fantastic career. That's why. And he carries that over to MMA. I think it's a bad idea.
That warrants. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for me.
I know MMA. I understand it. So if you want to talk about MMA, I'd like to talk to MMA about someone else who knows MMA.
But excuse me. I have been a reporter for 25 years. You don't know me, so I'm not going to knock you for speaking out the way you spoke out without calling me. I don't care about all of that.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith, who once again, unsurprisingly, is pulling the race card, right? Again, it really blows my mind because Stephen A. is a guy who loves to hang out on Fox News. Apparently, allegedly, he's friends with Sean Hannity, right? And for a guy that hangs out with Sean Hannity in Fox News, right, seems like he's kind of in some conservative circles. He loves being on his racialist altar, right? Again, I really don't understand it. But anyways, this guy, Stephen A. Smith, came out here recently and made comments about how much he's getting paid, right? In which he claims that he is underpaid. And he is underpaid because he is black, as he was arguing that black people in this country are underpaid compared to their white counterparts the same way that women are underpaid compared to men. But before we get in that, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold.
Hey, did you know silver prices are low right now because investors are selling their holdings because of a downturn in demand? Once fields subside though, we could see a surge in demand for silver as consumers come back. A perfect time to get your silver IRA started. And this month, you'll get a free 3-ounce American silver virtual coin with every qualifying $20,000 IRA purchase or rollover today. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
So without further ado, roll the clip.
Here is what I believe the biggest reason why there's a paucity of African or slippage in terms of participation by African Americans. We are still black in this country. We don't trust this country in terms of meritocracy always. We know the bottom line is that just like women are underpaid compared to male counterparts, blacks are underpaid compared to white counterparts. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and of course, people look at me, I'm not talking about me, even though I got news for you. I am underpaid compared to some people on television and what they get paid, but that's a subject for another day. I ain't apologizing for that to a damn soul. I am underpaid. Having said all of that, it ain't about me. Let me understand. Let me make sure everybody understands this. You have to go through the minor league system. AA, AAA, all of that stuff, right? Basically, what you're doing is asking black youth that are growing up in the streets of America to trust that the system will reward them for what they rightfully earned. I'm not saying the system wouldn't do that in Major League Baseball. I'm saying that black people overall always have a reason for trepidation and apprehension as it pertains to whether or not we're going to truly receive our just worth.
Yeah.
And unlike basketball, where you can come straight out of high school, unlike football, where you can star at a Big Five conference and star at a big time predominantly white institution, and you're on national television and you play 2 or 3 years and your talents are undeniable. In baseball, when you're in the minor leagues, the only people watching you are baseball.
Yeah. So Stephen A. Smith is essentially arguing that there are no black players in the World Series that are playing in the World Series because black people in this country have historically been underpaid compared to their white counterparts. And he used himself as an example to demonstrate his point that he is underpaid. Now, what I'm going to address in this video is Stephen A. Smith's specific claims about him being underpaid compared to his white counterparts. But before I get into the numbers, okay, the facts and the evidence here of evaluating Stephen A. Smith's claim, I think that Stephen A. Smith, who says that he's underpaid because he's black, I think he feels that way because he thinks that he works more than his white counterparts, right? I think Stephen A. feels like because ESPN has him basically covering every single sport, that he's being underpaid, right? He does First Take, he does a 2-hour radio show in the afternoons, I believe, and he also does NBA pre and post countdown, and then sometimes, again, they will have him covering a whole bunch of other stuff that, honestly, the guy shouldn't be covered, right? Because let's be honest, he's only really an expert in basketball, and I don't think his basketball knowledge is that great. He's more of an entertainer more than anything. Don't get me wrong. He has carried ESPN First Take, but let's be real. They got this man talking about stuff that he has no clue what he's talking about. Like, for example, have you ever heard this man talk about NFL? He doesn't know anything, right? Depth of his analysis is X team has such and such and such player. Therefore, I think that they're going to win. And that gets him into trouble. Like that time where he basically started naming a whole bunch of players that were going to have an impact on the game that either weren't on the team anymore or had been injured the whole year. Take a look.
And I'm going to have some faith in Spencer Ware and thinking that, he can do some things. I'm keeping my eyes on this matchup right here.
Spencer Ware's out.
Linebacker. I'm sorry?
Spencer Ware is out.
Oh, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry, Max. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he is out. But I'm thinking Tyreek Hill. I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes. I'm also looking at the San Diego Chargers on offense, and I'm thinking about Hunter Henry and the way that he's played this year and as effective as he's been. He's going up against Derek Johnson, and I got to keep my eyes on that because I'm looking at it from the
Yeah. So again, Stephen A. Smith, you see the depth of his analysis there, right? X team has such and such player. Therefore, I'm going to take them to win or lose. Again, he doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? I mean, he was naming players that weren't on the team, that were out, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? Or that time where he picked a team to score more than the other team, but that the other team was going to win the game.
We've got the best division in football here. Chiefs at Cardinals, Raiders at Chargers, and Broncos at Seahawks. Stephen A., which team in the division will score the most points in week 1?
I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay, tell me why.
Justin Herbert, Williams, Keenan Allen.
Okay. All right, I
Period.
guess we got time
Ain't
for
nobody
one
stopping
more.
that offense.
We'll dive in deeper here. Raiders, Chargers. Who are you backing to win this one, Stephen A.?
I don't know. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'll just go with that
What
right
a
there.
day,
I'll just go with that
everybody.
right
What a time to be
Shootout.
alive. Goodbye.
So I want y'all to understand. He picked the Chargers to score the most points out of any team that week because of Herbert, Keenan Allen, right? Players, right? Because of players. Okay, that's why he picked them. And then in the game in which the Chargers versus the Raiders, the actual game itself, he picked the Raiders to win. Again, guy clearly, he's talking about things he shouldn't be talking about, right? He's being overworked by ESPN, but he's not being overpaid. The guy makes $12 million a year. He's paid more than Skip Bayless, who, in my opinion, is the closest person that you can compare Stephen A. Smith to in regards to impact on a network. Skip Bayless has the same impact on FS1 as Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. Now, obviously, I don't think Skip Bayless does as much as Stephen A. Smith, but I think that Skip Bayless actually has more control over the show, Undisputed, than Stephen A. does of First Take, right? But again, Stephen A. Smith here, he can't really sit here and complain or pull the race card about being underpaid, because if you look at who actually gets paid more than he does, as far as what we know, to me it seems like he's actually really not getting underpaid at all, right? As you have Joe Buck here, who gets paid $15 million. Joe Buck is a legend. He's been with Fox Sports. He does NFL and MLB, and unlike Stephen A. Smith, Joe Buck actually knows what he's talking about when it comes to both of those sports. Okay, I mean, Al Michaels, again, he's a legend. He was the voice of Sunday Night Football. He gets paid $15 million a year. You got Michael Strahan, $17 million a year, who's black, and he also played football. And then you have Troy Aikman, who's a NFL Hall of Famer, just like Michael Strahan, $18 million a year, only $1 million more than Michael Strahan, again, who is black. And then Tony Romo, who also played football, $18 million a year, right? I'm just saying, I don't think that Stephen A. Smith is being underpaid compared to those guys. He does not have the same pedigree as, a Joe Buck or Al Michaels, and he did not play football. He did not establish himself in a sport, a pro sport, the same way that any of those other guys did, like Michael Strahan, Tony Romo, or Troy Aikman. So again, I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't know what he's talking about. He must be talking about the fact that he feel like he works more than they do, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. So at the end of the day, it's not like he's providing quality analysis, which is what Joe Rogan actually called Stephen A. Smith out for, right? The fact that they were putting him on MMA to cover MMA, even though he clearly didn't know what he was talking about. He was just there as an entertainment guy because he says controversial things and because he talks loud, right? They put him on MMA and their broadcasting team. And Joe Rogan had an issue with it because he was like, yo, this guy, this is not good for the game. He doesn't know what he's talking about, right? His analysis is very elementary. What are you doing? Right? So again, Stephen A. Smith, if you got a problem with how much you're getting paid, you need to either reevaluate your roles at ESPN, right? And how they have you talk about things that you shouldn't be talking about, or you need to get a new agent. But pulling the race card here, I don't think that you have much leg to stand on in regards to complaining about how much you're getting paid compared to your other colleagues who, in my opinion, either have a better pedigree than you do in regards to being around for a lot longer, being the voice, the face of a major program for a long time, or being established Hall of Fame Pro Bowl athletes who also provide expert level analysis of the sports and games that they cover, right? Something that you only do for basketball, right? You don't do that for any other sport. I'm just saying, you don't have all those things and you're still paid pretty handsomely. You're just an entertaining guy. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.